This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social in partnership with Empire Fight Store. I'm delighted to be joined by the founder of Maverick Stars Trust here at Walkden ABC, founded and created by you and Jamie Moore. Yep. Always a dream for Jamie and yourself to open a club here where he grew up?
Always a dream for Jamie, and then more recently a dream for me once I met Jamie, and I thought I could help him achieve his dream and find him a unit in Walkden, which we did, and it wasn't easy, and then COVID hit and we're faced with many hurdles with that and planning and all sorts of things, but we got there in the end in 2020. So we opened, I think it was in the I can't remember when the lockdown, it's like we've lost years, haven't we? I think it was later that year in 2020 we opened, but obviously with the restrictions in place it was very difficult to start with, and Jamie kept wanting to open when we could let all the kids in. We didn't want to just allow 5 or 10 in at the time, so we waited till we could let as many in as possible, and it's just been an amazing success. We have a full gym most nights with kids from the age of 6 to 17, and we run a carded class as well, and we've had 3 shows now. As a club. We had 3 shows last year. So it's going from strength to strength, and we do loads of work in the community, working with the local schools as well.
Next door is the Salford Youth Services next door. So how much do you work with them next door? Do they refer kids here to take up boxing and stuff?
Yeah, so the other side is called The Den, as in Walkden, The Den, and they run all different sports for kids and like a youth club, the old classic youth club with games, and kids can come in and bring a takeaway and just sit and have a drink and chat with the mates. So it's a really useful space, and we work closely with them. If there's any young people that would benefit from boxing, they bring them over here and we set up different programs and things for them as well.
The news has come out. I spoke to Johnny on Saturday. You are one of the members that's been listed as part of King Charles's first New Year's Honours List 2023. So, MBE, Charlotte Gilley, how does that feel? You're pinching yourself? You believe it when you saw the email?
I didn't believe it when I saw the email, no. I actually, I was telling you before, I texted a friend and said, is this some kind of joke? Honestly, it's something I'd never even thought about, but I'm blown away, and I'm honoured, obviously, and it's great, not just for me, but for boxing and the work we do. And it's obviously not me doing the work. I'm not a coach. Obviously, I've got my own gym, but it's not me who's got my feet on the ground helping the kids directly. So it's for them as well, the hard work they put in. And to be linked with Johnny Nelson and getting an MBE, I mean, wow, for me, that's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, very humble, very modest there, but I'd be honest, there's not many boxing clubs, especially when you first started here in Manchester, that wouldn't be where they are today, perhaps, without your impact on those clubs. So a lot of people were commenting, there's a lot of adulation, a lot of positive comments in terms of your name listed. It's been a long time coming, Charlotte, to be honest.
Well, I don't know, I do this because I love it, and I almost do it for myself as well because I get so much from it. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like it has been hard work, although there have been times where it's been challenging. I've never thought about giving it up because I love boxing, I love what it stands for, I love what it does, and I know it can help so many more people. So I'm all for just keep going and do what we can while we're here. And it's not about money always for me. One of the greatest currencies we have is time, and it's the most precious. And I've got my own family, so I know I have to be careful with how much time I give to it, but I am happy to give as much as I can to make a difference where I can.
I've been aware of your work for many years, and so many people within boxing have been aware of your work for many years, not only the people that you've helped, but other clubs around the country as well. Where did it all begin, Maverick Stars?
Where did it begin? Well, I used to box at a local club to keep fit, and then I did have one competition, and it just kind of gave me that fight to carry on with it. I've faced a lot of demons myself going into that, and I don't take it lightly. Anyone who steps in a ring, they've got, it's hard work, the training, the mindset, the dieting, that, you know, the time you've got to dedicate to it. It's a lot, and it really changed me. And I met some amazing people in boxing, and I just see, obviously amateur boxing is mainly volunteers giving up the time, day in, day out, night after night, going to shows, taking kids sparring, and I couldn't believe that this was going on, and it was a world I'd never been introduced to till about 8 years ago. And I just thought I'd love to be able to help in my way, any way I could really. And this developed over a bit of time. And then I thought I'd like to find a way to put some money into it. And that's why I set the trust up to have a pot with some cash in that I could help people with.
You work with all 10 boroughs here in Manchester and also with clubs across the country. How much has it developed and grown, the trust, since you started?
Well, I mean, it's got to start right from nothing, hasn't it? So it did start from nothing with that one club that I was involved with at Timperley. And now I think we've worked with, somebody asked me this the other day, and I'd say about 250, 300 clubs we've been some way directly involved with. And those are all registered England boxing amateur clubs that all the clubs we deal with have to be affiliated.
Yeah, I mean, look, we are a charity focused on helping clubs and individuals develop within amateur and professional boxing. Yeah. That's on your website. Yeah, what sort of things do you do for clubs?
So many things really. It's so varied. We've linked clubs to pots of funding that they might not have been able to access before. There's a lot of red tape that goes along with funding. There is funding out there. It was a bit of a contentious subject a few years ago. I know Eddie Hearn got involved, didn't he, in campaigning about money going into clubs and how it was crazy that wasn't enough money. And there actually isn't enough money going into clubs, but there is money there for clubs. It's just accessing it is so difficult. And so it's overcoming those hurdles for clubs to access that funding, and that takes time. And with the people I've met and a team around me, we've managed to link more and more people into that funding so they can run sessions and make their gyms grow, which is what's important.
There's charity work in football, there's charity work in cricket, basketball, rugby. What is it about boxing that does, because there's no sport I think like perhaps is it the people, is it the communities within boxing that inhabits this sort of community and charity work, do you think?
I guess so, and I think you don't find boxing gyms in, say, wealthy areas, do you? Rural areas. They're in built-up areas where there is a lot of deprivation and struggle, and usually the people that are going in those gyms are from the same sort of areas. And I can't compare it to any other sport because I've never been involved in any other. But what I hear is there isn't any sport like it, and I think it is special. And the idea of the discipline that the kids, everyone's given. It's not just the kids, is it? It's all of us who are involved. The discipline and the courage to come here. There's a lot of hurdles you have to overcome, and I've seen it firsthand in this gym, particularly because I've got more involved here than anywhere of the changes in some kids that we couldn't even get through the door at one point. They wanted to do it, but that hurdle of a new place, new surroundings, new people, they wouldn't come in, and eventually we've worked with them on one-to-one basis and got them through the door, and they've flourished. It's been amazing to see. It's emotional, and it's a delight to see that in kids. If we've changed one life, which I know we've changed many here.
There's some of the people you've worked with. I mean, we mentioned Jamie. Obviously, with Jamie, you mentioned Nigel at Moss Side as well. But also, you've worked with Andy Burhnam, the Mayor of Manchester. Just talk me through that what happened there.
That all came out of the blue. Really, there was a tragedy in Hale. A young man lost his life in a knife attack. And it got me thinking. I just set up my charity about what can we do, because he was linked to a boxing club, and boxing club's always been, since I started my charity, linked to helping divert kids who are maybe going down the wrong path. And I thought maybe we can help with what's happened and use that loss, that tragedy of Youssef in a positive way. And I approached Andy Burhnam and said, would you support me if I set a project up in Manchester, in every borough, to offer free boxing to young people? And he championed it all the way, and he got involved at the launch of it. And he was really behind it. Sadly, COVID came and so all the gyms had to shut for a period, it was awful. And we have rebuilt that programme back up. Not as well in some areas than others, but it's flourishing in Wigan and Salford, are two places where it's doing amazing. And we're really proud of the project. We're still running it all over, and we've even got it in other clubs in the country, not just in Manchester. And it's just been a great project. And Andy Burhnam has been very involved in it at its preliminary stages, and it was great to have him back it. It added weight to it and got it a lot of attention.
Last year was probably the year that we had a free run away from COVID, away from the lockdowns, and national competitions couldn't happen, amateur boxing events couldn't happen, gyms were shut, which was tragic to say the least. And this place was open, but not open to kids because of COVID. How challenging was those times?
It was frustrating more than anything, because we knew we had something amazing here, and we couldn't offer it. And we had the opportunity to open right at the beginning in 2020 and have a few children in at a time, but we just felt, how do we pick what kids come in? Yeah. We just couldn't do that. So we thought, we're not going to open until we can open the doors properly. So we did, and I mean, the first class we did, I think we had 30 kids in it. And it hasn't changed since. But I mean, it's not just the challenges of that, the challenges of getting the gym open, the paperwork and the lease, and we had to apply for planning, because this used to be a quality save, so it comes under a different usage, so we had to apply for planning, and we weren't told that, so that delayed it. And it just, and there's a big expense with it all. We only charge £1 here for the kids, and even that is, some kids can't bring the £1 in, but they try, and so we're not making enough money to cover the rent. We have to find other ways, and we're doing it, and we'll continue doing it, because it's so important to have it here in Walkden.
Where is the current state of amateur boxing in this country? The things obviously the work you do around the country, is amateur boxing in a good state at the moment, or is it still struggling in some places?
I think it'll always have its struggles. Sadly, I think it will, and I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, even when, my pot of money's dwindling, but my time is still here to offer support and try and help in any way I can. And there will always be tough times with amateur boxing, but I think the next generations are coming through, and a lot of the professional boxers I speak to now, they want to give back, and they want to continue the legacy of their clubs and where they've come from and what's made them be able to excel and fulfill their dreams. And I hope that continues, because at the top of the game at pro boxing, there's a lot of money, as we know. We hear of these figures being bandied about for fights, and then you're faced with kids and gyms like, not just ours, but all over the country, where we have kids who can't even afford to come in. And I feel there's such a contrast, and we need to meet in the middle somewhere, or further down in the middle, to bring that support into amateur boxing, where the grassroots, where everyone started. 99% of pro boxers have walked through an amateur gym.
We'll go on to that now, because you see people like Eddie Earn, let's say, he's made an effort, especially last year, of doing videos, pieces, going into amateur boxing clubs and saying hello. And again, I'm not totally against it, because the kids have fun. They get to see Eddie Earn, who's a massive figure within boxing, loads of pictures, and the kids enjoy that. But where's the help? Where's the? Have you ever had a conversation with him? I mean, it's okay to go into amateur boxing clubs and take pictures and all the rest of it, but they don't need pictures, they need money, need help. Have you ever spoken to promoters to sort of give you a helping hand and sort of help out money-wise?
Yeah, It's a conversation that's definitely there to be had, isn't it? And I have tried on different levels to make an impact through the people who have great profiles who can support the work I do. And I'm hoping that message will eventually penetrate people like that. But, you know, I don't know Eddie Hearn. I don't know what he does. Who knows in his spare time he's not doing more stuff for amateur boxing. Nobody really can pass judgment on anyone what they're doing, can they? Nobody, unless you follow them round all day. So I think instead of focusing on, it's not just him, is it? He's not him and, you know, Frank Warren, Ben Shalom, all these great promoters. I think everyone should kind of forget about the business side and should come together and see what they can do to offer that support. And it's chipping away, isn't it? I've started as just small me on my own, and it's grown the support we've offered. But there's only so much work I can do. I just need, if I got some big promoters behind me, supporting me and working alongside me, we could definitely do more.
Yeah, I wasn't specifically going on Eddie Hearn. It was just a thing I saw on Instagram or on Matchroom's YouTube. But again, yeah, there's no help from Frank Warren. He seems to pick, like today, for example, we had the press of Enrico Atolma, Moses Enrico Atolma. Again, you get to pick all the big amateur stars, but again, we want to know whether there's actual money and help coming in. But forgive me if I'm overstepping the mark, but you seem really, really emotional with this subject. It means a lot to you, what you're doing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it does. And some people, which is fine, they probably don't think I've got a right because I've not been involved in it from a young age, have I? I've only got 8 years experience in boxing and I don't know everything. I'll hold my hands up, I don't know. I'll never know. I think we're all learning all the time, aren't we? But I just think what I have got is a care for what I'm doing and a care for keeping the good work going. It's a volunteer-based sport. These people, you know, hundreds and hundreds of coaches across the country give the time up relentlessly week after week, and they're not doing it for any reward other than to see that kid flourish, aren't they? And I think that just needs to be acknowledged more in some way or appreciated at the top end of the sport. And there's so much negativity, isn't there, drives me mad. And I try and steer away from it. I just want to remain neutral and just do the best I can do. And if Eddie Hearn did watch this, or Frank Warren, or Ben Shalom, or anyone else who wants to make an impact within boxing, small or large, on whatever scale, you know, I'm here to help find a way that it can impact at grassroots level the best it can without taking anything out of it. You know, if someone gives me some money to go into the sport, it will go into the sport. I'm not taking a cut out of anything. I'm giving my time freely.
Yeah, and I think that's what has come across more than anything. I think that's why many people, when the news came out, Manchester Evening News put a post out and etc., and everyone was, yeah, the vast amount of plethora of positive comments on your way. You mentioned some of the work you do and have done previously. What are the plans right now? What are the plans for the future?
Well, I've got a few ideas about just changing it up a gear on how we support individuals. Okay. Something we have looked at the past, and it's grown organically. It wasn't something really I was going to ever look at doing because I wanted to focus on the club itself, but I know individuals could excel more if they had more support. Again, not always about finance, but other ways. So that is something we're looking to launch a new initiative in the new year. And I'm just careful what I'm going to do now because I want to make it right. So I don't want to rush into it. And then women boxing. I think there's been a lot around women boxing, so I'd love to get it more involved in getting more young women involved.
I think the women's side, especially the amateur sport, it's you know, in terms of the people turning pro and people I know at either GB or boxing as amateur still, I think the women's side in the amateur game is just flourishing, absolutely flourishing. Yeah. And one person who is close to Maverick stars, Chantel Cameron.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't got your reaction, your opinion, just her word from you on her becoming undisputed. Huge success for her last year.
Oh, it's just phenomenal. I'm so proud of her achievements and her as a person. I mean, I got to know Shan really early on of the start of my journey as well. So we were in a position to help and support her very early in her career. And to see her now at the other end, it's just amazing. She's a lovely person and she deserves it. She deserves all of it.
Just any last words, any messages? I mean, congratulations first of all from myself and Boxing Social. But again, I'd leave the floor to you if there's anything else you want to say.
No, I mean, I'm so grateful for being awarded an MBE. I mean, it was a friend of a friend who nominated me, which was just so kind of them. I had absolutely no idea. And really, the award is for all the people that helped me run my charity and do the work that I've got the feet on the ground. And I'm just delighted. Thank you.
Charlotte, congratulations. Thanks for the Boxing Social. Catch up soon.